Today on Minorah Stories.
Omo, Lagos is not for the weak. Chai.
When James packed his bags for Lagos, everyone in his small town said the same thing. Finally, you're going to where the money is. And that's exactly what James wanted. Big city lights, big opportunities. Because in his mind, Lagos was the land of success. The land where dreams turned into reality. But there was one thing James ignored. Before he left deep in prayer one night, God had whispered, "Stay."
Stay in this small town. Start where you are. I have a plan for you here.
James heard it, but he didn't like it. Because who stays in a town where nothing is happening? Who stays when all your friends are posting pictures in Lagos cafes with hashtags soft life and living the dream? So James left, he told himself.
It's not disobedience, it's strategy. After all, God wants me to prosper, right?
The first month in Lagos was exciting. The traffic, the noise, the energy, it all felt like progress. He stayed with a friend in a cramped one-room apartment. He thought,
This is temporary. Soon I'll get a good job and my own place.
but weeks turned into months. Jobs were scarce, connections were flaky, money ran out. James found himself taking any job he could get, carrying loads at a market, standing in long queues for interviews that went nowhere, sometimes sleeping on the floor because the friend's place was too full. And every night, hunger and frustration whispered louder than faith.
God, why is this so hard?
One night, after another day of rejection, James sat on the roadside under a flickering streetlight. The air was thick with exhaust fumes and noise. He stared at the few naira left in his pocket and whispered,
Lord, did you forget me?
and then, like a flash, he remembered that night in his room. That soft whisper, "Stay." Not Lagos, not the hustle, stay. It hit him like a punch to the gut. He wasn't struggling because God had abandoned him. He was struggling because he abandoned obedience. James realized something powerful that night. That provision is tied to purpose, and purpose is tied to obedience. He realized the blessing of God isn't in a location everyone says is booming. It's where He says to be with the assignment He gave you. Because when He says stay and you run, you leave the grace that was meant to carry you. James sold his last valuables, bought a bus ticket, and went back to the same small town he thought he'd outgrown. And for the first time in months, he felt peace. It didn't happen overnight. But as he started doing what God had told him to do in the first place, using his skills to teach young people in the community, starting that small poultry business he had laughed off before, shortly doors began to open. Opportunities came to him without the struggle. Because grace had always been where God said to stay, and provision always goes ahead of obedience. James learned the hard way that Lagos is not for the weak, but more than that, life is not for the disobedient. The blessing is not where the crowd runs to, it's where God says to be. Because obedience will take you further than hustle ever will. Because like Peter, James, and John, obedience will show you where to cast your net for a bountiful harvest. Subscribe and stay tuned for the next video.